Ladies and gentlemen, there is an undeniable truth in life. What goes around comes around. When people hurt you, betray you, or treat you unfairly, you may feel the weight of injustice pressing down on your soul. But let me remind you today, you are not alone in your struggles. There is a greater force at work, ensuring that justice is served, not in our time, but in divine time. There is a unique kind of peace that comes when you stop fighting battles that were never yours to begin with. When someone has wronged you, whether through betrayal, deception, or intentional harm, it is natural to feel anger, frustration, and even a desire for justice. The human heart often wants immediate resolution, a visible sign that those who hurt us have received their due. But the moment you surrender the situation to a higher power, something remarkable happens. Peace replaces your turmoil. This peace is not about forgetting what happened or pretending the pain never existed. It is about knowing, deep within your soul, that you no longer need to carry the burden of revenge or bitterness. You begin to realize that justice does not have to be in your hands, because it is already in the hands of someone far greater. You stop replaying conversations in your head, stop questioning why things happened the way they did, and stop longing for an apology that may never come. Instead, you wake up one day and notice that the anger has lost its grip on you. The resentment that once consumed you starts to fade. Your focus shifts from what was done to you to what is ahead of you. It is a sign that God is working, not just on those who hurt you, but within you. The most powerful form of justice is not watching someone suffer. It is watching yourself heal. When you reach a point where their actions no longer define your emotions, that is victory. That is divine intervention. And that is the first sign that God is already dealing with those who hurt you. You do not need to see it happen. You only need to trust that it is. Life has a way of bringing balance, even when it seems unfair. When someone deliberately hurts you, it may feel as though they have moved on without consequence while you are left to deal with the pain. You might wonder if they will ever face accountability for their actions. But in time, you start to notice subtle shifts in their life. Unexpected struggles, setbacks, or challenges that force them to confront what they have done. This is not about wishing harm upon anyone. It is about understanding that every action has consequences, and no one escapes the lessons of life. When people hurt others without remorse, they may believe they are untouchable, but sooner or later, situations arise that make them experience the very pain they inflicted. It could be through broken relationships, lost opportunities, or moments of deep regret that catch them off guard. Sometimes, these consequences happen in ways that are not immediately obvious. The person may seem fine on the outside, but internally they wrestle with the weight of their choices. Life has a way of teaching lessons in private before they manifest in public. You might not see them apologize or acknowledge their wrongdoing, but that does not mean they are not feeling the effects of their actions. One of the clearest signs that God is dealing with those who hurt you is when your life begins to move forward in ways you never expected. While they may be facing the consequences of their actions, you find yourself rising above the pain and stepping into new opportunities. This is not a coincidence. It is divine elevation. At first, it may not seem obvious. You might still carry the wounds of the past, wondering if healing is even possible. But as time passes, you notice that doors begin to open for you. Where there was once struggle, there is now ease. Where there was once sorrow, there is now hope. The very things that once seemed impossible begin to unfold right before your eyes. God does not just deal with those who hurt you by bringing justice to them. He also blesses you in ways that make their actions irrelevant to your future. Instead of staying stuck in bitterness, you grow. Instead of letting their negativity define you, you rise above it. While they may be stuck repeating the same mistakes, you are moving into a new chapter of your life, one filled with purpose, strength, and new beginnings. This elevation is proof that you were never meant to stay in the same place where your pain occurred. God is showing you that He has greater things in store for you than revenge. The best way to see justice is not by watching others fall, but by watching yourself succeed. So if you find yourself growing, healing, and thriving while those who hurt you remain trapped in their own cycles, take it as a sign. You are being lifted higher. You are being led into something greater. And most importantly, you are being set free. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. Many believe that to forgive means to excuse the harm done to them or to pretend that the pain never existed. But true forgiveness is not about them. It is about you. It is about setting yourself free from the emotional prison that anger and resentment create. And when you truly forgive, something powerful happens. You make space for God to work. Holding on to bitterness keeps you tied to the person who wronged you. Every time you replay the hurt, you give them control over your emotions. You allow their actions to dictate your present and your future. But when you choose to forgive, you break that chain. You declare that your peace is more important than their apology, that your healing is more valuable than revenge. Forgiveness does not mean you forget what happened. It does not mean you allow that person back into your life or trust them again. It simply means that you refuse to let their actions hold power over you any longer. And when you do this, you allow divine justice to take its course. God cannot fully move in a situation when you are holding on to it so tightly. When you let go, you give Him permission to work in ways you may not even see. The person who hurt you will have to face the consequences of their actions, not by your hands, but by divine justice. And as they do, you will find yourself rising higher, moving forward, and experiencing a level of peace you never thought possible. So if you are waiting for a sign that justice is happening, start with yourself. When you release the burden of unforgiveness, you will see that God was already handling it all along, and you, in turn, will finally be free. There comes a time when those who have wronged you will come to realize the impact of their actions. Whether they admit it to you or not, their conscience begins to speak louder than their pride. This is one of the most undeniable signs that God is dealing with them. When they become aware of their mistakes and feel the weight of what they have done. At first it may seem like they got away with everything. They may have moved on as if nothing happened, showing no signs of remorse. But life has a way of bringing every person face to face with the reality of their actions. Whether through personal struggles, moments of deep reflection, or seeing someone else experience the same pain they caused, they will have to confront the truth. Sometimes this realization is silent. You may never hear an apology, but that does not mean they are not feeling it. Guilt is a powerful force. Even if they try to suppress it, the knowledge of what they did will stay with them. Their relationships, their choices, and even their peace of mind will be affected. They may even start to experience what they once put you through. On rare occasions, some people will reach out to admit their wrongdoing, but whether they do or not is irrelevant. What matters is that divine justice is at work. They cannot escape the lessons life will teach them. This is why you do not have to chase closure or demand an apology. Trust that every action has consequences, and that awareness of wrongdoing is part of the process. The burden is no longer yours to carry. Let them wrestle with the truth while you continue to grow and heal. knowing that justice is unfolding in ways beyond your control. Strength is often born from struggle. The pain you once thought would break you is the very thing that shapes you into someone wiser, more resilient, and unshakable. One of the clearest signs that God is dealing with those who hurt you is not just what happens to them, but what happens to you. You emerge stronger, no longer defined by the wounds they inflicted. At first, pain may feel unbearable. Betrayal, heartbreak, and disappointment can leave scars that seem permanent, but over time you begin to notice a change within yourself. The things that once triggered you no longer have the same power. The words and actions of others do not shake your confidence the way they once did. You begin to walk with a new sense of purpose, clarity, and wisdom. God does not just allow trials, He uses them to refine you. Every painful experience has taught you something about people, about life, and most importantly, about yourself. You have learned to set boundaries, to trust your instincts, and to recognize what you truly deserve. What was meant to destroy you has only made you more resilient. There is no greater sign that God has been working in your life than when your story becomes a source of inspiration for others. What once felt like unbearable pain now serves a higher purpose. You no longer look at your past with bitterness, but with understanding. Instead of being trapped by your wounds, you use them to uplift, encourage, and guide others who are facing similar struggles. At first, you may not have realized it. You were simply surviving, pushing through the hurt, trying to make sense of the betrayal or injustice you endured. But over time, you started to see that everything you went through was shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Then something incredible happens. People begin to notice. They see your strength and resilience. They hear your words and find comfort in them. They watch how you've moved forward without being consumed by hate or revenge, and they realize that healing is possible for them too. You become a living testament to the power of faith, perseverance, and divine justice. Meanwhile, those who hurt you may still be dealing with the consequences of their actions. They may be stuck in cycles of regret, struggling to find peace. While they are burdened by their choices, you have turned your pain into purpose. Instead of allowing the past to define you, you use it to inspire change in yourself and in others. This is how you know God has been at work all along. He did not just remove you from the pain, He elevated you through it. Your story now carries wisdom, strength, and hope. And as you continue to rise, you prove that no suffering is wasted when placed in the hands of God. Forgiveness does not mean you forget what happened. It does not mean you allow that person back into your life or trust them again. It simply means that you refuse to let their actions hold power over you any longer. And when you do this, you allow divine justice to take its course.